Hello and welcome to a special Q&A recording of Bandar Band, one of the 50 official selection titles of the 45th Toronto International Film Festival. This film plays as part of Contemporary World Cinema, which is generously supported by Sun Life. As part of Share Her Journey, TIFF's commitment to supporting women behind and in front of the camera, we're thrilled to spotlight the incredible films by women at this year's festival, including Bandar Band. My name is Kiva Reardon, and I'm the lead programmer of Contemporary World Cinema, and I'm thrilled to be here with director Manisha Hikmat. Manisha was born in Arak, Iran. Her directorial credits include the feature films Women's Prison, Three Women, and Old Road, and Bandar Band is her latest film. I would also like to thank you, our audiences, for joining us here today. As an organization still impacted by COVID, we need the support of people like you, our audiences, so that we can continue to present films to future generations. And of course, like every year, this film is eligible for the People's Choice Award, and you can vote for your favorite films at tiff.net/vote. Manisha, thank you again so much for being here, for sharing the film with our audiences. Your films often deal with social issues, particularly women's issues. In Women's Prison from 2002, you spoke of prison being an allegory for society. In this film, you use the floods to explore this. Can you talk a bit about that, about the floods and an allegory and what you were looking to explore?
سوال اولشون اینه که شما در فیلم زندان زنان شما عمدتاً در فیلماتون مسئله اجتماعی می‌پردازید. به طور مشخص در فیلم زندان زنان این فیلم یه تمثیلی بود برای مسائل اجتماعی. حالا در این فیلم جدیدتون این مسئله سیل، این تمثیل سیل شما چه نماینده در واقع نموده چه چیزی هستش در مسائل اجتماعی و دیدگاه شما به اجتماع و سیاست و سینما؟
من فکر میکنم که سیل شرایطیه که یک جور جامعه ما و خاورمیانه رو در بین خودش گرفته. جوانان سرزمین من و امثال هم، کشورهای شبیه هم، جوانانشون در طی تاریخ کردن رویاهاشون به واقعیت که همیشه یک گام جلوترن در این گرداب سیل که شرایط اجتماعی، سیاسی و اقتصادی گرفتارن. خواهی شما بگید؟
So I believe the floods are really the embodiment of the certain social situation that we see in the Middle East in general, because the people of the region, especially its youth, when you look at the way in which they're caught up in particular social dynamics, you'll see that it's almost as if they're always one step behind the flood of events and situations and the tumult that happens in the region. So in a sense, this is an allegory for the state and certain caught upness of things, you know, of social life and the flow of events.
سیل به نظر من نمادی از شرایطی که در اون داریم به سر میبریم و انسان ها بخصوص نسل جوون برای رسیدن به رویاهاشون سعی میکنن تو این سیل حرکت کنن، هرچند راه سخت داره و مشقت زیاد داره، همش با پلهای شکسته و راههای بسته روبرو میشن و این باعث میشه که زمینگیر بشن و خیلی سخت به رویاهاشون دست پیدا کنن که این برمیگرده به شرایط اجتماعی و.
So in a way, this is an allegory for reality and the way in which the youth in my country, every time they're going to have to do something, they have to get on board with this flood, and they have to get in it, and they have to do this despite the fact that there are many broken bridges and there are many difficulties that they have to overcome. So in a certain sense, this allegory is a representative of these difficulties, of these engagements, and of the way in which if you want to proceed in life and do things in life in Iran, you're going to have to basically get involved with the floods.
جوانان سرزمین من و حتی جوانان اطرافم و خیلی از جوانان کشورهای دیگه همیشه تو رویاهاشون یک قدم جلوتر از موقعیت و زمان خودشونن، تو رویاهاشون حرکت میکنن و وقتی که میان با واقعیت روبرو میشن برای رسیدن به رویاهاشون همون گذرگاه‌های بسته است و همون راه‌های بسته است پر از مانع، پر از مشقت که آیا میتونن از این دیوارهای سیمانی عبور کنن، شاید خیلی وقتا خونین و مالین بشن، برخورد با این شرایطی که به هر حال براشون وجود داره سخته سخته سخته. بخصوص جوانانی که بخوان کار هنری بکنن به مراتب شرایطشون سخت‌تره. به هر حال سعی میکنن زندگی کنن با رویاهاشون و امیدوارم رویاهای نسل جوان کشور من و کشورهای مشابه کشور من به واقعیت بپیوندن.
So the youth in my country, they're always basically living in their heads, in their dreams, and in a way, when they come and encounter these social floods and these tumultuous situations, it's almost as if they're encountering a cement wall, and a lot of times it breaks them. And so this also is a film about the encounter between these dreams and between these floods and realities. And I really hope that the youth in my country, as well as people in places similar to my country, will one day be able to live their dreams to the fullest. Especially if they're doing artistic endeavors, which are particularly representative of this type of engagement and difficulty.
Thank you. You also have a documentary background. Your film The Wall from 2002 is a documentary, 2004. I'm wondering how much of your documentary background came into play while making this film. How much was scripted, if anything was improvised, because the sense when you're watching the film is that it has a real experience of almost verite realism, even though it is a fiction film.
سوال در مورد داکیومنتری شما دیوار هاست و دارم میپرسن که چقدر فکر میکنید پروسه ساخت این فیلم و نگاه شما در این فیلم به مسائل و حضور داره وارد شده به پروسه ساخت این فیلم اخیرتون و یه واقعی گراییتون و در واقع یه نمود واقعیتی در این فیلم، در این داکیومنتری است که ما دوباره اینجا میبینیم اینو و شما نظرتون در مورد این چیه؟
به هر حال من سعی میکنم در پیوند با اطرافم، جدا از اینکه فرم فیلمو از قبل انتخاب میکنم، با شرایطم، با شرایطی که دارم در کشورم به سر میبرم، این پیوند رو برقرار کنم. حالا ساختار و فرم که جداست، ولی جدا از پیوند از شرایط کشورم نیستش. و به هر حال این داکیومنتری باید من تو فضای سیل می ساختم. گرفتن مجوزها خیلی سخت بود. تا من تعطیلات عید ایران بود و گروهی باید سریع جمع می کردم و حرکت می کردم که یک جور تجربه مشترک همه با هم، چه بازیگر چه گروه فیلم برداری، توی موقعیت برابر بود. میخواییم بگیم بعد.
So when I make a film, I do not think of the form of it in advance. To me, the form is prefigured in relationship to the social realities that are out there. So when I'm thinking of making a film in Iran, I cannot think of it of its formal characters as separate from the social realities that they want to portray. So that's always a fact in my work, and especially when making this film, we had a certain set of difficulties because I was shooting the film during the Iranian holidays, and everything was shut down, and I had to get this crew, and we had to work together, and I wanted everyone to have kind of a common experience at the same time, and then there's the rest of the comment.
به هر حال همونطور که گفتم همه توی موقعیت برابر بودیم و سیل ویرانگرم که اطراف ما رو گرفته بود و طی فیلم برداری اگر میدیدیم جایی باید کمک کنیم، باید کمک کننده بودیم و با آواره هایی که برمیخوردیم فیلمو فراموش میکردیم، باید کمک کننده بودیم که تمام اینا یک جور تو بخشی از فیلمم اومد. یعنی تو این طی طریقی که ما کردیم در این سیل، خب تمام اتفاقا افتاد و اون رئالیته فیلمو بیشتر کرد و یک ساختار سینمای داکیومنتری از دل واقعیت و از دل اون ناتورالیسمی که به دست می آوردیم ما اتفاق افتاد و انجام دادیم و چاره‌ای دیگه نداشتیم غیر از این که این شکلی بسازیم فیلم.
And so in this context, when we're facing the floods, every once in a while we just had to stop shooting, and we had to basically just in the middle of shooting get to help people that actually needed help. So in this way, the process of making the film was very much involved with a certain form of social activism that you see in the film. And so in this way, the naturalism, the realism that you see in this film is very much a product of the particular social necessities that were constructed around the production of this film.
و شرایط سختی که لحاظ فیلم برداری داشتیم. به هر حال عکسای پرصحنه هست، تا اینجاها تو آب و فاضلاب فرو میرفتیم و خطری که پیش رومون بود برای گرفتن پلان هایی که داشتیم، ولی خب فقط اون گروه، اون همدلی و اون همدلی مردم و اون آوارگی مردم و اون بحران، همه اینا هم کمک کننده بود، هم یه جاهای بازدارنده بود، ولی چاره ای نبود. ما تو دل ماجرا بودیم، تو دل سیل بودیم و باید حرکت میکردیم.
And if you've seen films from production, pictures from the production process and all that, you'll see that we're halfway in sewers sometimes, you know, if you're shooting this film, and we had to basically overcome many different obstacles during the process of production. And but I think we overcame this as a unit because we were together and because we were facing these particular difficulties, which kind of brought us together. And then we saw the way people were in the meantime obviously caught up in the flood, the way they were forlorn, and the way we had to help them. So in a way, the former characters of the film and the social necessities that were out there came together in the production process.
و در کنار این قصه فیلم بود جوانانی که با آرزوهاشون میخوان حرکت کنن در این سیل. حالا اون قصه هم باید پیش میبردیم، ما این درامو باید ایجاد میکردیم. تو این سیل قرار حرکت کنن ولی نرسن. تموم این راه‌های بسته، این پل‌های شکسته هی انتخاب میشد و ما همش تو مسیرهای مختلف این لوکیشن‌ها رو رصد کنیم، پیدا کنن بچه‌ها، تیم تولید و ما بریم به هر حال قصه‌مون رو تعریف کنیم. خب اون شرایط واقعی و این درام باید تو هم مخلوط میشد و یک جایی شاید خیلی سخت بود، ولی اون تیمی که همونطور که گفتم موقعیت درک مشترک اون از شرایط تونست این فیلم رو به سامون برسونه.
And obviously, in the meantime, there was a storyline that was the plot that we had to actually advance in the middle of all these contingencies, and so it was a matter of finding the right locations when that wasn't available, overcoming it, and going to the next set, and basically all these broken bridges and all the different difficulties that you see are also allegories for the way we made this film. But ultimately, what brought the drama of the film and the contingencies on the outside together was this team that we had, and the common vision that we had together of how to make this film, which really made it possible.
Thank you. And a bit on that note, the casting, the three leads are so incredible, and it's really basically just them for so much of the film, and they're also such talented musicians as well. How did you go about finding them and working with them?
سوال در مورد بازیگرای و اینکه بسیار بازیگرای هنرمندی بودن و در واقع عمده فیلم در حول محور اینا سواره و در اینا در مورد موزیسیانه که در فیلم هستن و چطور شد که انتخاب کردید و پروسه انتخاب کردنشون به چه ترتیب؟
برای خیلی شرایط سخت بود. هم باید قصه نوشته میشد، یک خط کلی من داشتم، با سیل باید اجین میکردم. همین که خب رضا نقش اول فیلم یکی از خواننده ها و موزیسین‌های جنوبی خیلی خوب ایرانه و قبلا هم یه تجربه کوچولو بازی داشت، من ایشونه انتخاب کردم. اون دخترم از قبل میشناختم و امیر حسین که از بازیگرای خوب تئاتر ایرانه. این ستا و پگام که به هر حال همه میشناسنش، پگام انگرانی که دختر منه که هم کار دستیارم که هم مشاورم بود و هم بازی میکرد اون تک سکانسو. برای خیلی سریع این اتفاقات، چون ما میدونستیم سختی و زحمتمون تو راهه و تو اون اتفاق قرار شوت کنیم، خیلی سریع رسیدیم با توجه به شناختی که از این بچه ها داشتیم، انتخاب کردیم و حرکت کردیم.
With respect to character as Reza, he's a very good musician, and he's from the southern part of Iran, and we had already played a small part somewhere else, and so we already knew him. Then the same thing for the character of the woman, as well as Amir Hossein, who's a good play actor in Iran, and as well as my own daughter Pegah Angirani, who was the stage assistant. I was the director's assistant, and all these things came together because we knew that the main challenges, difficulties would lie ahead of us in the production process. So a lot of it was basically we came together very quickly, and since we had that mindset, it was about going basically and getting into the production process afterwards, which we thought we would face the main difficulties.
به هر حال این خط اول این قصه رو من از 1 سال قبل داشتم. یه کافه خیلی کوچیکی بود که دخترها با پدر مادراشون با شوهراشون می اومدن با اونجا لایو آواز میخوندن و یه اپلیکیشن کوچولو داشتن، همونجا به هم رای میدادن و این برای من خیلی جذاب بود و همه شهرستانا اومدن با توجه به اینکه زنها اجازه آواز خوندن ندارن، که البته اون کافه هم بسته شد. من اونو داشتم، اون ایده رو داشتم، وقتی سیل اومد با سیل مخلوط کردم و پروژه رو راه انداختم.
So the first idea for this film came to me about a year ago. Like the first line of this film came to about a year ago when I was at this cafe, and I saw these fathers and their daughters sing at the cafe, and well, this cafe was later obviously closed because women are not allowed to sing in Iran. But what stood out to me at the time was that a lot of women from the provinces were coming to partake in this experience. So I already had this setting in mind, and when the flood came, it was a matter of basically bringing two events together and mixing them up.
Thank you so much. I'm getting my signal from our producer that we have to end here, unfortunately. But Madija, thank you so much for sharing the films. But thank you so much for your translation as well. Yes, really, thank you so much for sharing the films with our audiences. See.
تشکر میکنم که میگن که به ما زمانمون تموم شده و خیلی ممنون که این فیلم رو به جشنواره تیف آوردید و ما خیلی خوشحالیم که بیننده ها میتونن اینو ببینن امسال.
منم خیلی خوشحالم که برای بار دوم در جشنواره تیف حضور دارم و اون جشنواره رو برای رقابت برابر زن و مرد در دنیای هنر و سینما ستایش میکنم. خیلی متشکرم.
And I'm very happy to be at TIFF for a second time, and this is a festival I particularly admire for the way it stages women and men directors equally, and I'm happy to be part of such an effort. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.